Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the World of Havoc. So, we left off right here on tile 017, where it's pretty much a mountainous region. We're passing through a common path. And in the last episode, we lost Darbus. Rest his soul. He was slashed by a snow beast of some type, several, two of them. And he fell to his death. Our team, our party has held a little memorial for him. In the meantime, while that's happening, I will give a few updates here on what I've changed regarding the characters. Because of acknowledging my failures in combat, which is always an ongoing experiment with this channel, I've upped the ante, or I've upped their HP per character. So they're maxed out. They will always be maxed out for the hit die count. So because Wolf is the only level 2 character in our party, he has 12 out of the 2d6 rolls. We have Rayla, she is at 6, currently in 4. Then we have also Theus at 6, and same for Darlox. Darlox is our recent addition to the team officially. He has been adapted as a character sheet here, white box. So this is his character sheet. If you want to pause and take a little peek at it, doesn't have a lot of gold because he's not very wealthy. One thing I did notice was I wrote down his languages here when it should be here. So he speaks Common. Per the rules, he speaks Gnome, Goblin, Orc, and Kobold. Just based on the rule set. So, while I erase this, the party, I should say, I gotta get used to saying that. They are on their way through these treacherous mountainous paths to return the Firestone back to its rightful owner, who is the king of Shadowscape. The Kingdom of Shadowscape is this symbol right here. This is tile W14, which was our first named area of interest. And for this episode, I will be using the Mythic GM Emulator cheat sheet. So not per the rules completely. I won't be following Chaos Factor for this one. I'm not too familiar with the aspect of it, so I'm going to ignore this Chaos Factor here, the line, and this little table here. What I will be focusing on are the two action tables to help jog some ideas. Because again, most of the content, the lore, is coming from my own minds. I might use the random event focus table, and I may use the scene adjustment table, but more so these three. And of course the fate chart, which is mainly this center column on 5. If I forget, I might just be rolling my usual predict a number and then roll at or below it for yes. That's just in case I forget. But basically I'm trying to say, for the GM sheet, these three tables are the most important. I'll have that up here. We got my dice. And our notes say we are currently setting up camp because it's roughly, I jumped to the little time jump, it's 5 p.m. There is a blizzard, so we're obviously in a tent who is being supplied by, I believe, our magic user, Theus. He has the tent. We have enough rations. I'm going to deduct something I need to keep track of is rations. Naturally, they will be consumed, perhaps every couple tiles that we traverse. So, looks like we still have a good amount. Wolf has used the most. But that's probably because I haven't been tracking it properly. I'm also attempting to track time and weather. Again, I'm not guaranteeing consistency in this series. Also, it looks like we have um, 6 rations for Garlax, which I'm surprised. So let's officially begin. So we're going to wait for the blizzard to finish. I'm going to roll on the table here because it's in the mountains and this blizzard has been going for at least a few hours, 4 hours total for 1 o'clock, which was the previous recorded tile time. I'm going to say very unlikely, so we got to roll 25 or less. Does the blizzard, I should say, does the blizzard stop? 25 or less. And look at that, 24. So the blizzard does stop. This is a standard yes. The blizzard begins to dissipate. It begins to move away from our location, which means we now can leave this tile where we lost our colleague, Darbus. Rest his soul. We move on to this tile, which is not as mountainous. These mountains are a little smaller compared to the prior tile. So currently we're on P17. Make this note here. So P17, and it is going to be, I'd say, 6 p.m. and it's cold, but it is cloudy. There's no snow, no flurries. It's just most likely in between any weather activity. Now, let's roll for what occurs in this tile. Let's try a random event. Let's see how this works out. We will experiment. If I'm not happy with it, I might not even go by it. So we're going to roll a D100. And 75 PC negative. So something negative happens to one of our characters. Let's roll a D4 to see which negative effect, which character this affects. D4, 1. Of course, it's our main character, the star of the show, Wolf. So let's figure out what this will be. We have the action meaning tables. We will roll on the first one. 76. Relinquish. Okay, I'm going to write that down here for... So this is PC negative. Relinquish. Something I'm assuming that has to do with the Firestone, which is currently in his grasp. Action 2. 84. That's going to be Strength. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have a theory here. Relinquish Strength. This has to do with something. I'm going to ask the Oracle if this has to do with the Firestone. Perhaps one of our other player characters becomes greedy and wants to wield it. Maybe the death of Darbus has taken a toll on our team, and they feel that Wolf is not exactly suitable to continue taking the lead of the party. We can ask the Oracle. I think it's going to be a very strong yes, that very likely, so 75 or less, that this is going to be retaliation or mutiny. Is that the case? So 75 or less. It is. Okay, so one of the party members is doubting Wolf and his leadership skills. Which team member is it? If I land on 1, I will re-roll, obviously. 3. Okay. Okay. Took a slight break just for some personal matters. Now, this makes complete sense. Darbus was right here. He was in this tile. He was friends with Theus, who is right here. My pencil's pointing. Theus is the number we land on, 3 party member. And he is doubting. He's getting into a shouting match after just remaining fairly quiet for some time after leaving the previous tile, where Darbus died. They had a little memorial, a little burial. They honored his efforts and his death. I'd say that maybe... I don't know too much about the actress I chose to resemble Anya Taylor-Joy. Well, Furiosa. That's what I put here. Furiosa was an amazing movie, an amazing character, and very confident, strong, but quiet, if I remember correctly. Though she did stand up for herself. So I'm trying to figure out what she would do. Her character is a neutral. Yep, she's neutral. Obviously, the rest of us are lawful. Lawful good. I was a little more accurate for Wolf. I don't know why I put lawful good. It's just lawful. But in any event, this makes sense. So what I wrote down was a relinquished strength, Theus doubting the leadership skills of essentially Wolf, and the death of Darbus, his friend that he's known for some time, has led to this little mutiny going on, this little argument. So maybe perhaps I think the argument breaks out, and Wolf and Theus are shouting. Wolf is obviously a very direct, does not hold any words back. He is shouting at Theus, and Theus is our magic user. He shouts that you have been absolutely no help. You are absolutely pointless. You can't even fight for your own. What makes you a better leader than me? And then Theus is silent. He's repulsed by those those comments. And he says, "I know magic." Blah blah blah, and then back and forth basically. So while this fight is going out, Garlax is just he's looking back and forth. I think he's fairly quiet. He's just. Oh, by the way, Garlax looks like Nick Frost. That's kind of the inspired picture AI spit out. That's his appearance. Like I think Nick Frost from Shaun of the Dead. Just because he's kind of shorter, a little huskier build. So I kind of thought that'd be a perfect dwarf. And then I'd say maybe at this moment, um, Rayla is just sitting on a stone, maybe carving her dagger with another, sharpening it, just ignoring the whole situation. Wolf is trying to calm down for a moment. He's saying, "Look, we have traversed this land the past week. We've dealt with ghouls. We've dealt with generic, unnamed creatures of sorts, and recently this snow beast who killed our friend Darbus. I respect your efforts, Wolf, but losing my best friend, my comrade, on our way through this adventure was not part of the plan." Wolf reiterates, "Look, you have to understand. We all agreed on this. We all knew the risks that we were taking in this adventure. The reward is going to be magnificent. He will say, I'm trying to think. The reward will be immense. We'll be able to properly bury him if we properly bury him in his honor." And Thea says, "Bury him. His body is at the bottom of the cavern." So Wolf says, "Exactly. Let's go find him. Perhaps this will put you at ease." And so Theus is thinking about it, and let's look at Theus's intelligence. He is smarter than the average bear, I will say that. So he's going to roll. We will roll for intelligence to see if he can think of the current environmental impact of considering if a body of a dead person falls off a cliff into the deep cavern of perhaps an ice over river, the snow covering up the body. So he's going to consider the options. We're going to roll here. So the d20 have to roll 14 or less. That's 13. That is just a success. Using his knowledge of just past experience, he says, "Wolf, the snow, how long it's been, the deepness of that cavern we just walked by, his body is gone. He's buried 10 to 20 feet below that snow. It'll be impossible if we even try. I understand your efforts and I appreciate, but it's impossible. His body is gone. I still have doubts with this adventure. I know we are only perhaps days away from reaching Shadowscape, but I grow weary of your leadership skills. We have taken much damage. Our rations are being depleted, and we have lost a comrade." Wolf acknowledges as he listens. He says, "I understand. Theus, we've gained a comrade. We've gained a new ally. Let's continue on. At least let's reach Shadowscape. And if it's, I'll leave it up to you if you wish to leave the team. And he also looks to, in saying that, he also looks to Rayla. She looks up and stares him in the eyes. Wolf says, "If Rayla, you've been rather quiet. Do you wish to share anything?" Rayla says, "If we continue this banter, we'll be the same will happen to us as it did to Darvish if we sat around. I'm confident there'll be more of the snow beasts in this area. We have to continue on." Theus agrees. Wolf agrees. And uh, Garlax takes his warhammer on his side and he says, "Perhaps we should continue." And he just kind of repeats what she just said. So they all agree. Now this PC negative, I think this is going to create a burden for specifically Theus and his charisma. So his charisma is at. I'm trying to figure out how I can continue this little thread, this little story thread, because it was effective. It led to an argument. Now here's what I think. Now, that moment we just had, that scene, was my attempt at role playing. I don't typically do it that often. I'm trying to remain macro, generic, but I thought I'd give it a shot with a little, chemistry of the team. Let me know what you guys think below. I'm probably going to be not doing that too often, but I'm thinking with his charisma, which is just at 11, that while they were arguing, they are going to be attacked or surprised by something, because this needs to have repercussions. This has to have a negative effect on the team, not just our friend Wolf, which makes sense. I don't think this can slide without a setback of sorts. So let's go back to the cheat sheet here. I'm rolling on both actions to see what exactly happens here. We can do a slight scene adjustment, perhaps. Let's try that. I'm going to try it. I'm not going to see what happens. 1. Remove a character. Okay. This is bad. So I'm pretty confident that's going to be Theus. Theus, let's do a slight retcon to the previous conversation we had. Again, my role-playing skills are questionable, but to maintain consistency, Theus, he puts his arms up and he says, "I can't handle this right now. It's over. I've lost my best friend, my brother in arms. I can't." So he forfeits his position in the team. He gives up. Not necessarily gives up, he quits. So he leaves the team. Wolf shouts at him, calling him a coward. "We were so close." Thea and Rayla and Garlax are unaffected by this because Garlax didn't know him too well. Rayla is just in it for the money. She is a thief, neutral. She doesn't really give a damn. I think she was least affected by Darbash's death. Clearly, Theus is the most affected. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to remove Theus from the party. I'm going to put Theus in a separate spot here on my side. This is a big moment because a little star moment. So Theus leaves the group, which puts us a man down. So we technically lost 2 people. Leaves the group. He can't take any more. He goes back to Hexberry, because Hexberry is the safest, closest spot. It's just just down the mountain. It is quite a travel. And remember who had the tent? Theus had the tent. So we're down a tent too. He goes back to Hexberry. And I'm thinking, maybe he lives there. Maybe that's his actual home. But for now, we are down to 3 characters. So what I'll do is mute Theus' appearance, and he's officially gone. So our magic user is out of here for now. I have an idea, but I'm not going to reveal it just yet. But Wolf is doubting himself to an extent, but he says, we can't give up. Let's continue on. Now, while that was happening, like I said, we need to have a surprise here. And we rolled for it. We rolled on a scene change, which removed our character. But now let's remove on an action. Action 1, 58. Invade, okay? Invade, it says. 45. Individual. Okay, so one individual invades the area. One individual invades the area. So let me put this down here. Invade individual. Is this another creature, perhaps? Let's see. I'm going to say likely 65 or less. Yep, it is. It's a creature. So perhaps another snow beast, which would be consistent, makes sense. So I'm going to say it is a snow beast from earlier, but it's just one because we wrote individual. So we have a snow beast. It's on the side, kind of 15, 20 feet up a hill, snarls at them, seeing, our party shouting and talking and breaking apart. A member of the band just left due to creative differences. And now there's a snow beast on top of the hill who runs down the hill and drops, landing right in front of our team, surprising us. So we are surprised it will get the first strike. So let's initiate combat, but perhaps not as swiftly as we did before. Let's get some stats on this creature. Okay, so Snow Beast, it'll have the AC of, let's see, the previous ones were 13, AC 13. Its damage will be, perhaps it's, let's do 1d minus 2. Okay. Its HP will be 4, like the other. Well, let's do 5, because it's just a single creature. Alright, now, there is the stats of the creature. Wolf is going to be attacked first. We're rolling a d20 against our d20. And let's see who lands a hit. So AC 13 against AC 16. Nobody gets a hit. Next is Rayla. She jumps in. I guess my surprise didn't exactly matter because my combat is combined into two rolls at once. So Rayla gets a hit on the creature, and we roll for damage. Rayla has a few weapons of choice, has 2 daggers -1, so d6 -1 per dagger. That's going to be 5-4 or 5-1, and guess what? That kills the creature. So an easy kill for Rayla. She takes out the beast with a stroke of her daggers, both into the neck. The beast collapses. Now, while that happens, she notices something, and let's roll to see what she notices. I'm thinking something happens here. She notices the following: 13. Betray. Ooh, okay. Betray 90. Tension. Betray tension. I can accept that, or we can ignore it and move on to the next tile. You know what? Let's ignore that. We had enough drama for this tile. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so next tile is going to be, we're on the P17 tile. Now we move down to Q17, which is also continuously mountainous. Q17. Okay, so Q17. It is roughly, let's say, 7 p.m. Weather, let's figure that out. Let's roll for it. 1. Ooh, okay. 1. It's perfect. It's warming up. So we're getting down to the bottom of the mountain, of the trail. So it's mild. There's no snow. It's clear skies. Clear skies makes sense on that one roll. Because usually when I roll for weather, the magnitude depends on the roll. So if it's 90 or more, it's extreme weather. If it's 10 or less, it's very calm and settling weather. So we reach this next tile. We have the conditions set. Now let's roll to see what happens. I could try. Let's try the random event table once more. 33 NPC action. Oh, okay. It's a non-player character. So there is another appearance here. An NPC appears. Okay. Now, who is this NPC? Let's get some details. These aren't exactly descriptors, but we'll go off of it. 70. Protect. Okay. So the NPC is protecting something. One again. Advantage. Oh, maybe it is a non-playable character. Protect. Advantage. Interesting. Let me write that down. Does give me an idea of what kind of character we're working with here. What kind of extra we got. Now, this could be a creature. This could be a humanoid, perhaps. Let's say 50-50. Is this a human character? Ooh, it's a humanoid. That's barely one no. It's a humanoid. I'm going to say it is, without getting too specific, we have a couple of races. We can do Hobgoblin, we can do Goblin, we can do Orc. Maybe it is, I think Goblins are probably more prominent up here on the north side. It could be anywhere really, but I'm thinking more north. So let's do one Hobgoblin appears. Oh, yeah, actually, you know what? Not a Hobgoblin, an Orc. So an Orc appears. Is this, he's protecting advantage. So he's protecting something that gives him an advantage. What would he be protecting that gives him an advantage? Something of power. His wares. I think he's a merchant. Okay, you know what? An Orc merchant. Let's roll with it. So he's a merchant. Maybe he sells weapons. Or he's delivering. Oh, you know what? Oh, even better. He's a carrier. Courier. He delivers equipment. So he's traveling through here. But recently he's traveling. Let's figure this out. Is he traveling 50-50? Is he traveling to Shadowscape? 50% chance. He's not. He's going the other way, so he's traveling north. We run into him. Conditions are perfect. We don't like bump into him. We just see him rolling up the hill. And he's an orc, so he's a big dude. He's not on horseback. He has both hands pulling a wagon of goods. And he stops. He sees us. We stop. And because it says protect advantage, he's pulling a wagon. We'll write that down. With valuables, like really valuable stuff. He snarls, and he yells out, perhaps we're at a distance. He says, "You three, you mind giving me some space? Don't come any closer." Wolf looks to the team, well, the team of three, I should say, and tells him, "Let's move aside." So we step aside. The orc then slowly continues. The trail is probably, the size of. Let me draw it here really quick. So it's a trail off a mountainside. And here's the one cliff. Here's a bottom to it. Our team is right here, just off to the side, and this orc is pulling the wagon behind him as he's going this way. So our team is eyeballing. I say more so Rayla is eyeballing his wagon because it has a bunch of burlap sacks tied with a rope on top. And the orc stops. He turns to Rayla and sees that she's eyeballing his wagon of goods. And he says, "Miss, I recommend you keep your eyes off my items." And she looks away. She looks to Wolf. Wolf apologizes. He says, "I'm sorry, traveler. We don't want any trouble." The orc scuffs once more and says, "Right. Well, you're about to have some." And he continues walking out continues walking north. So when he said that, he says, "You're about to have some." I'm going to say the team may approach some trouble. May have trouble up ahead. That's just a little note for myself. Um, the dwarf doesn't talk too much. Garlox. I keep saying Garlax. Garlox. He speaks to the orc. He says, "Excuse me, orc. What do you mean we will have trouble?" Wolf kind of was hoping he wouldn't say anything. The orc stops, turns around, and he does speak. Well, let's roll for charisma. This is not his forte. He only has an 8. It's not a chaotic moment, so this is a flat roll. This is 8 or less. 3. Okay, it does work, actually. So, the orc stops, and he explains the following details. Let's roll for it. 2 actions. 85. Strange. Okay. 40. Perfectly. Strange home. Okay, so... let's see. Strange home. Interesting. Home. He says, he looks to Wolf, recognizing that Wolf is the leader of this small group of travelers. He says, You with the shield. Tall one. Wolf says, Yes. What's the matter? Speak. The orc says, Your friend, your dwarf. He is not welcome where you're going, where you're traveling. To Shadowscape, I presume. And Wolf looks to, they look at you. Wolf and Garlox look to each other, and Garlox continues speaking to the orc. What do you mean, orc? Well, I'm not welcome at Shadowscape. The orc sits down. The orc, knowing that this conversation will go on a little longer than he wants, he sets his wagon down and kind of turns around and leans on it, and he says in his big voice, Shadowscape is not the place of people such as us. Only humans. And he also looks to Rayla. Elves are to an extent welcome, but they are not respected of anyone but humans or elves. Basically, just saying that the Shadowscape has a very, let's say, not so politically correct environment. They are enclosed, perhaps a little racist, perhaps to the dwarfs. And Garlock says, Well, orc, I appreciate your advice. I appreciate your warning, but I can handle myself. I've been in far treacherous environments than Shadowscape. The orc he turns around, picks up his wagon, then looks back and says, I warned you. Good luck. And then he leaves. So this orc, whoever he was, we never got a name, basically warned our team that dwarfs, up at the start here, dwarves are looked down on, I guess I can say, down on in Shadowscape. So Shadowscape, where we're going, is going to be a problem for our dwarf. So, in effect, for our team. This makes sense because we picked up our dwarf friend from outside of Hexberry. Again, he came from his stronghold known as the name that has changed several times, the Peak of Claven, which that's where his home is from. So Wolf looks to Garlox and says, I trust, he says in his deep voice, Judge Dredd, I'm trying to think of Judge Dredd, I trust you won't be any trouble for us. Garlox is holding his warhammer. Trust me, human, I'll be fine. I've dealt with worse than your kind. As long as there's money, which is, I believe, will be fine. Well, I'll take that back. He doesn't say how long they're in money or riches. He says, mind your own business, basically. So they continue on. Okay, so we encountered just a brief little exchange of conversation with an orc, a merchant of sorts. Maybe he was Maybe this merchant was trying to sell to a very, a very large kingdom that is Shadowscape, but he was rejected. So that's why he is heading back up. So he's probably somewhere from the north side. But obviously the orc was not a threat. He was a merchant. He was a salesman. Okay, well let's move on to the next tile. We have 18. We're currently on Q17 here, so we go here. We move on to R17. I'm going to flip pages here. R17. And this will be another more hills, actually. So we're reaching the bottom. I'll say it's hills. And let's see, what time was it before we left that last tile? It was roughly 7 p.m. So now it's nighttime almost. So it's 8 p.m. Sunset, etc. Probably some time ago. And it's in the hills. Now, let's roll to see what we encounter here. Let's do random event focus. See how that works. NPC action. Okay. NPC action. What is going to be the action here? 22. Conceal. 46. Conceal information. All right. So it's not. There is a. Okay, I have an idea. So in this tile, there is a NPC. He is standing on the edge of the trail, perhaps. Maybe just off the side. So here's the trail. It's reaching the hills. So here's hills. This man has a wagon, a large wagon, so 4 wheels. He has a horse right here. I cannot draw a horse, but my life depended on it. And there's a campfire. It's nighttime. He's sitting right here, and he sees our team approaching. Sorry, I know you guys cannot see that. There we go. So he sees us approaching right here off the side. He conceals information. I think that's what I rolled. 46, conceal information. Okay, so I'm not sure what that adds to, but conceal information. Does he acknowledge the team? Do we acknowledge the team? He's concealing something, so we have to know if he acknowledges the team. I'm thinking, here's what he does. So, as we approach, we're passing by. We don't really, we're looking for a better spot to camp, perhaps a little further down to the green hills. I think what he does is that it's a little windy. Well, let's get weather conditions. It's windy. It's mild temperature, and the wind blows a tarp off of the wagon. He has some goods in the back. The tarp blows off. It's tied, but one of the ropes becomes loose. And so it reveals the following. Let's see what it is. 45. Flee. 90. Tension. Ooh, okay, so flee tension. He's concealing info, and the tarp blows off to reveal flee tension. Someone, I believe, is tied up. So the whole flee, someone's trying to escape. Is somebody tied up? I think very likely. 75, it's not. All right. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's a dog. It's just the tarp is covering something or someone. It could be a wild animal. Maybe it's a wolf or a dog. This traveler just has a pet, and the tarp was covering it for. Well, the dog probably would most likely be next to the owner. So I'd say there is a dog here. Let's put a dog. So there is a dog here, and he's sitting. He looks to the team as they approach, and the tarp blows over to reveal perhaps something of great value. Flee intention. I'm trying to figure out what item that would become. Flee intention. Something that makes our team tense. Maybe it's the effect of the item we're looking at that causes those two factors. So the tension the environment becomes, the mood becomes tense, and it makes us want to flee. Okay, it's a cage. All right, I have an idea. It's a cage, and in the cage, the tarp gets loose. The rope, because it's so windy, the rope blows over the tarp, and there's a cage in the back bed of the wagon to reveal a sleeping beast of sorts. Maybe it's a large creature, an animal of sorts. So it's very furry. Maybe it's a werewolf, perhaps. It's sleeping. It could be a werewolf. It's caged up. And so this guy here, the NPC, is a dog, and it's a human, the NPC, and the cage has I don't know if it's a werewolf per se. Maybe it's a big wolf. It's just this huge, giant wolf. And wolf is like, our character's like, huh, ironic. So it's a large wolf. And the tarp blows over, so the guy stands up. He casually walks over as our team just sees this abnormally large wolf in the cage, kind of sleeping. It's not growling or anything. It's just asleep, but it's absolutely gigantic. So the guy walks over. He grabs the rope of the tarp and ties it back, or the cover, the sheet material, whatever it is. So we see basically this large wolf with white fur. We'll put that in there. And the team again, they stop in their tracks. The man, we don't have too much details on. He looks to, while he walks back to the fire and the dog growls, he says, "I suggest you move along, my friends." And so the team continues, but Rayla is a little nosy. No, not Rayla. Let's say the dwarf. He says, "Was that a wolf?" The man again reiterates, "Dwarf, I suggest you keep moving, or you will find trouble." Wolf himself, our character named Wolf, he looks to Garlox. Garlox, what did I say? Let's keep going. And so they continue on. Garlox is just amazed at seeing such a huge creature, an abnormally large wolf. I have an idea for this little encounter. It probably couldn't mean much, but perhaps it does. So we continue. And now we're in this tile here on 16, S16, right here. This is going to be grassland. We've reached the lower, between the trail becomes the lower elevation area, then goes back into the mountains, a different mountain range. So, like I said, we are in tile S16. I'm going to note this here. And it is very late. It's let's say it's 10 p.m. and it is cloudy, or maybe partly cloudy, nighttime, mild weather, and the team has to set up camp, but they don't have a tent, so they're gonna have to start a fire. So they gather some logs, they start a fire, they get their bedrolls around it. They kind of off to the side of the trail. They're not exactly, on the road. So let's draw a visual here. Here's a trail. It's grassland off the side. This is the trail. They set up camp with a fire. They have bedrolls, respectively. And one of them will keep watch. Wolf obviously volunteers first. Wolf will be on watch. So they're on camp, campfire, and Wolf is on watch for any encounters. Now, do we have an encounter here? Let's first roll on the random event focus, which sometimes I will use, or sometimes I won't. 94. Current context, nothing. So again, they're same counters, and they're just kind of cleaning their weapons and minding their own business. So that is where I will end this slightly, obviously shorter episode, but we've made some progress. We're about halfway between the last where we started, and we're getting pretty close to where most likely this trail starts to curve up the mountains. So I'm assuming that Shadowscape will be at a much higher elevation than where we were on this pass after Haxberry. So, but in any event, I felt this was so much better, and I hope you guys enjoyed. We had one encounter, and we had a much more role play and some story development in this episode. So, let me know what you guys think below. Again, each episode I'll try different methods of play, macro, focus on role play, combat, swiftness. We'll see. Each episode will be a little different as far as how I play these out. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.